Here we are again. Let's talk swimming with Alex from Scale Swimming and Markus Marthaler. So today we do it a bit differently than usually. We usually had our topics which we prepared and then we talked about it. This time we take questions which I have from all the social medias and we talk about those. And one of the questions was similar to one we already had. Is there, and I tell you now, and I tell you also the question to it, is there a swim fast, quick scheme out there?
You struggled with saying that the last time, I remember. That was funny.
It's also, not because I always want to say get rich quick scheme, no.
Yes.
Swim fast, quick scheme. Is there something like that? No, it doesn't exist. Quick question. So now the question to it, because I think it goes into the same topic with this top topic, right? I was approached, and I had this question several times actually in my DMs, and it was always saying, listen, I have a competition tomorrow or at the end of the week or at the end of the month. I'm swimming this time, I want to swim faster. What can I do? Or the other question was just recently again, yes, I swim 3 times a week, 1.5 kilometers, and how can I improve, get faster? Any advice? Just like that. Then I usually ask back and say, well, first of all, how do you train? Because I don't know what you want to do, what is your goal and whatsoever. And then usually comes, for example, the one which said I do 3 times a week, 1.5 kilometers. I swim just in one go 3 times and I seem to not get faster. What can this person do? So again, the scenario would be this person goes 3 times a week, swims 1.5 kilometers each session and doesn't get faster, but it swims in one go. What would you do?
Okay, well, we all know that you need to get involved in some form of interval training. And then it depends on what the goal is. You already alluded to that, but is the person wanting to try and get faster at a sprint? Or is the person wanting to get faster at a middle distance? Or is the person wanting to get faster at a long distance event or some open water swimming? Loads of different range will depend on what type of answer we give, but the fundamental thing is no matter what distance your goal is, you need to do some form of interval training.
Exactly. I usually said the same thing, or I said the same thing to that specific person, and yes, I agree with you. So the goal is what do you want to do, and how much time do you have to do to achieve it. But mainly it goes with interval training, and what interval training does. Because there is another thing is because I want to jump into that as well. Because what interval training does, it splits up a big distance into smaller pieces. And on average, you can swim faster. So let's say a 1500 meter. If you break it down to 15 times 100 meter or a 30 times 50 meter, and you add a go time, let's do the example with 15 times 100 meter, you say you go every 2 minutes. And that means that you start swimming and you touch the wall, let's say at 1:30, so you swam for 1 minute 30 seconds, you have 30 seconds of break time. And if you get slower the next time, so when the clock hits 2 minutes, you go again. The next time when you arrive at 1 minute 40 seconds, you only have 20 seconds of break time. But this constant keeping a pace to a certain thing and the same go time makes first of all, your body never gets used to it. So it actually is always working. So it can't really optimize and it can't go down with the training's effect. And secondly, you have the tendency also to swim faster because you have more break times. Let's say your average on a 1500 meter is 2 minutes, but if you do it this way, you can easily keep a 1:30 pace. If you train it on a regular basis, you can bring down your average on a 1500 meter in total when you swim it in one go quite easily. Would agree, right, in that sense?
Of course, yeah, I totally agree with that. So I was just thinking in my head then as well, sometimes I'll get triathletes that have got a running background that will come to me and say that I want to get faster at swimming. And I say, well, what do you normally do? And they're like, well, I go to the pool and I just swim up and down for half an hour. and I can get, I can do X amount of distance. And then I ask them, do you always just swim up and down with no plan? And they say, yeah. And then I say to them, like, you're from a running background, would you always go out and run the same distance, the same pace every time? Or would you add some spikes of speed in? Would you do some fartlek training? Would you vary the distances? And they're like, well, of course I would. So I'm like, well, if you're going to do that in training when you're running, you need to do that the same way, the same approach when you do your swim training. And then they're like, oh, I see.
And then there is another effect, it gets more interesting, because they usually say, oh, if I go for half an hour, it's always the same thing, plodding up and down and whatsoever, and through that it gets more interesting. So interval training it is. And funny enough is, actually swimming was always kind of enhanced, or it was further ahead of running and cycling, because previous years we only learned interval trainings, because there was someone who then also wrote on a post which I did about interval trainings. He said, and it goes into the same topic, says, why in swimming you always do intervals, you never really do the full distance, why is that? And I said, this is exactly that, because with only doing the full distance, especially in swimming, once you have that flow, your body will just start to optimize. There will not be training effect, that you will not enhance your speed. It will not make you thinner or you use more energy for it. It will not. So the training effect goes down if you do it in one go. If you do easy swims, if you want to chill out and whatsoever, then you can go and do in one go. But if you want to train to a certain goal, to a certain time, to also increase the distance on the total swim. Let's say if you until now you only did 1500 meters, and all of a sudden you need to do a 1.9 kilometer swim in a half Ironman distance. This goes only through increasing on the intervals, not through just swimming longer. In running, it's different, because in running, every now and then you need to try to also be able to swim the full thing, or to run the full thing. And in swimming, that is not it. Well, I don't know if you have another explanation for that, because there is someone who wrote that too. It seems that in swimming, you always have only intervals, only intervals.
I'm going to go back to your original point, the example that you gave. You said that if somebody came up to you and said that I only can swim for half an hour 3 times a week, and I just swim a 1.5k. Even if those people they're restricted to that amount of time, and say they want to swim 1.5k, they could definitely increase and improve by splitting that 1.5k over those 3 half-an-hour sessions into various intervals. So, you gave the example of like 15-100, but you can even then go to 30-50s, and you can do a range of speeds, a range of rest times, a range of go times, to make it interesting, to just mix your intensities up, to just change your training. There's loads of variations that you can do within, even if you've got half an hour. If you only got half an hour to swim, there's loads of things that you can do to actually improve your speed, your fitness, your endurance within that short period of time, before you then have to up your intervals and do those sorts of things.
Well, actually, I want to leave you with that, because that was a very nice conclusion. And we actually drop mic, or mic drop, the other way around, mic drop. So there is not in the world, no get fast quick scheme out there. There is none. There is none. You forget about this, everyone who listens into it. And interval is to go. Interval is what you need to do. And I don't want to add anything to what you said. Let's go to another question.
Hold on, I'm going to say one more thing. So interval is the key, right? And it doesn't matter whether you want to become a sprinter or whether you want to do a full distance iron swim. Doesn't matter the full distance. To get better and quicker, depending whether you're a sprinter or you're a long distance swimmer, intervals are the key.
True.
There, drop.
Okay, mic drop now. Let's go to the next question. So I have a couple of those. I just need to find them, but I have them. No, that was actually the one quote which I had with the long runs.
So we pre-answered the questions before we even heard them.
No. That was actually the one which I had in my head, and then I remembered, and it was the one in swimming. You seem to never really run the full distance. You actually always do intervals.